What's up, everybody? From Walmart. We're back. We're back, baby, again.
Not a bad fish right there, guys.
Oh, no.
Out here catching Folsom bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker. What up, what up, what up? What up, everybody? It's I, Dave Erkey, the host again of the Whole Angler podcast. Still, nobody's kicked me off yet. I'm back again. This is going to be a different episode. We're not going to have like an interview like I normally do. This is going to be something because it was kind of like just scratching at the back of my neck for a while. This episode is based around superstition, like superstition around bass fishing, not like superstition in general, because we're not going to go that deep. I mean, the history on superstition is crazy. I've been reading a couple books on it. It's pretty fun. But first and foremost, there's a couple guys out there that need a shout out. They're healing right now. JT Hickman, dude, like, glad you're out. Hope everything's going well. And same thing with you, Eric Watkins. Like, man took a gnarly dump on his bike and he's in recovery and all. He's recovering out. He's out of the hospital. Everything's good, dude. I hope you guys heal up soon. Also, my unnamed friend, who I will not name, who is going through some stuff, but we have been talking, dude, healing to you. And, you know, my phone's on. I love you very much. And I really want you to get back on that horse and get moving again. So without anything else, I would like to thank the sponsors of this podcast, which is the Kayak Adventure Series, LMNT, it's an electrolyte beverage, and of course, these guys right here. What up, dudes and dudettes? I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice by now, but you're going to hear it for a little bit longer because this is a shout out to the sponsor of this show, Kayak City. Kayak City has been taking care of me ever since I started getting into a boat and paddling around in the water trying to catch some fish. And when I tell you it is Kayak City, it is literally like a city of kayaks. They have Bonafide, Eddy Line, Feel Free, Hobie, Jackson, Native, New Canoe, Old Town, Wilderness Systems, and so many used kayaks. I stopped trying to count them a long time ago. If you guys are looking for accessories, they have walls and walls and walls of accessories. They have one wall dedicated specifically to Yak Attack, and it is a massive wall. Kayak City is your #1 Yak Attack dealer here in Northern California. If you want to know where it is, stop by at 7812 Auburn Boulevard, Citrus Heights, CA. Roll through, say what up to James, Troy, Eric, Scott. Tell them Dave says what's up and tell them I sent you there. Thanks for listening. All right, there's the ad. So, superstition, you know, a loose definition, according to ChatGPT, who's my new best friend, is the definition is a belief or a practice based on irrational or unfounded ideas, often involving an idea or a certain action or objects to bring good or bad luck. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my round table tonight. Let's start introducing them. We have Sir Bailey Egbert. Hello, sir.
Hey, hey.
Sir Armando Sola, how are you,
up?
sir?
How you doing, guys?
And Sir Jon King, how are you, sir?
Hello.
Thank you for being on tonight, guys. I genuinely appreciate this. Like, I really do. Armando, especially, I called you last minute, dude, and you were like, yeah, I'm down. And I'm like, oh, my man.
It's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I almost forgot. I was like, oh, crap.
It's all good. The other guests totally forgot. It's fine. No, so the idea of superstition, it baffles me. I got into fishing and people are like, don't put a banana in the boat. Like, okay, can I have a banana in the truck before I get on? No bananas. And it never made no sense to me. So, I mean, that's the base superstition around fishing, especially around tournament guys. Bailey, you've been doing tournaments for a while. In fact, congratulations on winning your most recent tournament at Champlain. That's nuts, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
job, man.
Good thing it was one day.
Yeah.
That's right. You're damn right.
Just cut him off at the knees. No. Do you have any superstitions or any behaviors, any like routines that you go through before a tournament?
Honestly, I don't really have anything like crazy. It kind of actually stems from like my hockey days where I have I have to wear the same pants, shirt, underwear. I have like all that, the same stuff for a tournament, at least for day one. And if I suck, then I completely change for day two. But If you catch them, then you that same attire going into day 2. But now beyond that, I guess really nothing crazy. I'm really big on not getting ahead of myself and like talking about my 5 fish limit. If I do, I'm big on knocking on wood. That whole thing. I'm that crazy person that says you can't, like call your shot, if you will, and then knock on wood. I don't know. I'm big on jinxing.
Got it. So you're like trying not to count your chickens for their hatch type thing, but you're like, it's there, but you can't say it.
Like if somebody goes, hey, the weather for this weekend looks really good for this tournament, and I say, you better freaking knock on wood, because I'm a firm believer if you don't, then it's gonna be terrible weather.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. What about you, John?
I think before I go into this, and this is something I was bringing up in the back room, one thing that you have to define the difference between is there's rituals that you do, and there's also superstitions. The rituals are like repeated behaviors that you do that are defined on patterns that, kind of tied to your beliefs. I need to do this in order to do well. Whereas superstitions are more of, as you described earlier, they're like beliefs and behaviors not based on reason, or what we call irrational thoughts. Whereas rituals are kind of sometimes a little bit more rational, whereas superstitions aren't. Like, for example, when I pull up the boat ramp, I go through a step-by-step thing with my boat to make sure I don't forget the plug and things like that. That's not a superstition. That's just my ritual so I don't screw it up. But then if someone walks up to me and starts a conversation, that ritual screwed up, and that's when I forget. That's when I back the boat up and I still have a latch, and I realize that individual screwed up my ritual. As far as some of the superstitions go, I'm definitely in the banana thing. One time someone gave me like some like dried fruit mix, and it had banana chips in it, and I skunked. And ever since, I didn't know they were in there because they just like put them in my boat, and I kind of got I didn't get really super pissed about it, but I'm one of those person that, like, if I'm going to the lake, I'm going to stop at the same gas station. I'm going to get the same biscuit. I'm going to get a Red Bull. I know I'm going to get this. Most of it's kind of like comfort and convenience, but also I feel like, I did well doing this, so I'm going to do it again. But then I also tend to forget about, oh, well, you did this last time and sucked, but you keep doing it. You just keep doing it. There's some definition. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, you're actually defining it, but so the ritual itself, the routine itself, like you create a routine where you're organized, right? There's this routine, mind you, your boat doesn't sink because you put the plugs in, but you go into the same gas station, you doing this. It's actually defined as behavioral conditioning, and it's superstitions that can be seen as a form of learned behavior, whereas certain actions become associated with a positive outcome due to repetition and reinforcement.
Sure. And oftentimes you forget about all the negative things, but once you get that one positive, then you're like, well, yeah, it worked. Yep. Can I say that? Can I say it, man?
Yeah, you can say it, dude. It's cool.
But I'm like Bailey. Like I have a favorite hooded sweatshirt I always wear. Yep. Always wear that hooded sweatshirt the first day. Wear the same pants. Wear the same hat. I also have a very bad superstition of when I got 2, and I'll focus on one here later on. But one superstition is, as soon as I put my boat in the water, the first thing I do is fill up my live wells, even before I get a fish. I just want them full. I don't want to catch a fish and then have to worry about there being enough water in my live well. Obviously, Bailey doesn't have to worry about that. But that's one of the first things I do is always fill up my live wells and kind of get that prepped and ready to go.
Perfect. All right, Armando.
Oh, man, when you invited me to come up to the podcast, I wasn't trying. Sorry, I got distracted with the message board for a second.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, there's a message board. Oh crap, I forgot. Private
that's
chat.
Funny. Anyways,
yes.
The going back, piggybacking what you just mentioned about routine. I think, to me, I've never been superstitious. I don't have anything, not even wearing the same clothes, eating the same food, or eating the same snacks, nothing. I thought about why some of the biggest superstitions that are tied to fishing and bass fishing, like I always thought, well, what is it, the banana? Like, what's the reputation of a banana? That you fall, you step on it, slip and fall. And I thought maybe it has to do with that, like banana peel in the deck of a boat, you slip, you fall overboard kind of thing. Because it really doesn't make sense to me why a banana is considered like superstitious, like bad luck or stuff like that. The other thing that I thought about is what I hear anglers say a lot is casting. Actually heard tournament anglers say they'll cast their first cast on a tournament is going to be where there is absolutely no chance of catching a bass. They want to waste that cast because they think it's bad luck. And then I thought about, well, why would it be bad luck? If anything, it should be like good vibes, like your first cast, you're off to a good start. But then I thought about it, and I think it stems from maybe you start falling into a pattern that you stop thinking and just stop doing the same thing over and over. And at the end of the day, that could cost you. It could be the sense that, you cast it right here and it's kind of fool's gold. Because every now and then we're going to, hook into a big bass that we just got lucky. It makes no sense that the bass was there. It doesn't follow any patterns, anything that we've heard or watched a YouTube video or heard our favorite angler talk about. Well, we found it. And then we think, oh, that's where they all are. That was a one-off. And then you start thinking, well, I caught it here, so I'm going to continue doing this. Turns out there's no more fish there or no more fish biting that technique because it's not the right technique. You just happen to stumble upon a bass. And I think like the first cast kind of thing falls into that. Now, again, superstitious, I don't get any of it. The only thing that I wanted to talk about, maybe this is something we can mention further down the line, but I think is sort of like having good vibes. Because if you start the tournament with a good mindset, then you're in a good vibe, you're thinking clearly, then you're able to focus on what you're doing. If something goes wrong, then a lot of times when you're in that pressure situation of trying to catch 5 bass in a certain amount of time so you can win a tournament or qualify for a championship, whatever it is, then a little thing that you start doing wrong that gets your morning in the wrong in the wrong foot can spiral out of control to the point where you're out of your mind, your mind game or psych, what's the word?
Totally. You psych yourself out.
You psych yourself out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
so
no, that's a real thing.
I don't want to go on a long tandem. So if you want to jump on
fine.
that or talking about that.
That's a perfect opening. Like getting into superstition, we have to talk about the negative. Always talk about the negative. So let's talk about like when you're out on the water, what psychs you out? Like, and when you get psyched out, is there a routine or is there some sort of activity that you're going to get yourself to get back in? Or Bailey, I think you're kind of not part of this because it's apparent you don't get psyched out. You just smoke everybody all the time. Yeah. So
as far as the case.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can feel free. I don't have to address you. You can just jump in at any time.
I mean, there's times, I guess I had a little bit of OCD when I was in, was it maybe high school for a little bit and it went away. But there's times I think like if I'm fishing and I catch a couple fish and I have to pee, I don't pee because I've been catching fish and haven't relieved myself. And there's that little superstitious. Whereas on the opposite side, I have a brand new superstition. If I do an aqua dump the morning of the tournament, so I don't go actually in the toilet, I actually either go in the water beforehand. My dog's going to bark here. Hey, 1 second. If I go in the water beforehand or during the tournament, I actually go on the water. I have a great day.
Really?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
So you got that fresh lake water.
Yeah.
You're feeling good. You're feeling
fishing
fish.
Feeding the fish too.
Yeah, he's chumming is what it is. I think that's illegal.
That's modern day Maxim is all it is.
Yeah, and it's usually only happened this year that I've been out in the water and I've had to go just because either I didn't have coffee at the right time or I just didn't plan it. And when I go on the water, it's good luck. So I guess I'm just gonna go on the water.
That could be tied to what you eat before, because if that day that you won a tournament when you took an aqua dump, maybe you ate that I don't know, like your favorite breakfast sandwich, and that is what the fish like. So you decide, if I eat this breakfast sandwich, I take the aqua dump, that's the one the fish gonna like.
Armando, this is a long road we're not going to get on about. If I'm not at home, I don't typically. So, it's a blessing, and that's the thing, is when I'm on the water, it's a blessing, but it's not really a blessing. I mean,
It's a blessing.
Yeah, John, all that is another example of Rick Clunn's total immersion, becoming one with the fishery. That's all you're doing. You're just giving your donation to the fishery. That's all it is, man.
So, Bailey, what psychs you out, man?
Not catching fish. No, I will say one thing that somewhat, I guess, gets in my head a little bit is if it's like sharing water on a tournament day with other people. I've gotten a lot better with that, where it used to drive me crazy, where I would just leave entirely and go try to find my own stuff. But if there's some people trying to fish the same things that I'm fishing or the same pattern, I'm fishing behind people. It used to kind of get in my head, where now it'll depending on who it is. Like if it's a freaking stick that I know, like, yeah, that it might be in my head a little bit that, you know, these fish are going to get pressured a little bit faster. But if I don't know who they are, it doesn't mean they're not going to get pressured, but I don't know, it doesn't affect me as much mentally, but there's definitely that factor. Otherwise it's, yeah, I guess not much else too much psychs me out, but
okay.
I'll jump on piggyback on that thing too, because I think, for example, the morning of the tournament, I want to do one of the things that stressed me out is, for example, the other day I was at OHIV tournament, and whether it's OHIV, fork, those type of fisheries, man, you can go on a Monday and it's going to be hundreds of people at the boat ramp trying to launch at 4 a.m. So it can get, it can get stressful. And that's one of the things where I was like, you know what? I just want to get along with everybody. I don't want to start off my morning getting into a rage argument because somebody caught me off at the boat ramp. It can spiral out of control where everybody at 4 a.m., whether it's bass boat tournament or a kayak tournament or both combined at the same time, only one boat launch, everybody's in high tension. Everybody is stressed out. Everybody wants to get on the water. Everybody wants to get ready and get on with their day. So one little thing that on a Monday at 2:00, somebody would have happened to you, you think nothing of it, but that morning of tournament day could be, like ballooned in that aspect. So to me, it's obviously not about superstition, but just having the right mindset. Listen, if somebody cuts me off at the boat ramp, if there's miscommunication, I'm just going to let it go. Yeah. I'm like, my focus is get along with everybody, say hi to everybody. Because the other thing is, like, if you have a bad interaction at the boat ramp, there are people that, if they're having a bad day, they'll revert back to that. And then you see them at the same spot. And then, oh, that's the guy that caught me off. That's the guy that had an argument. Same with boaters. It's one of the things like, hey, I want to get along with everybody. Let's just get on our water, get to our spots, and, just start off the day with good vibes, have good conversation with people, and just say hi to everybody, and just that way it's kind of like, all right, you start feeling comfortable. But if at 4 a.m. you start with arguments and just finger pointing and shouting matches, it's not going to go well, that tournament, for the most part.
Yeah, it's a tone setter. And like you keep coming back to, like, whether it's being shooken on the water, like you addressed earlier, like kind of getting shook out there, or that early morning, like it's a shit way to start your day, and you get stuck in this mindset of frustration where you're either repressing that, you're trying not to think about it, but it's a total, like, wash, you know what I'm saying? Or the total day's a wash because you're basically already in a negative mood, right? I get that. I fully get that, because there's been many times I'm married. We don't always agree on stuff. And sometimes we disagree on something. And then I go fishing the next morning without, trying to make that right. And I'm holding on to that like all day. I'm just one of those people. And I will, whether I caught fish or not, it was a crappy day, So I totally believe in that. And there's different types when it comes to like how whether it be routine, repetition, superstition, how they all affect us. There's placebo effects, there's behavioral conditioning, congestive or cognitive different dissidence. Like I have it all written down here, and the only reason I had it written down here is because I find this topic so interesting with people. And the one that really got me kind of thinking about this when I talked to you guys about this, tell me if this sounds, somewhat real. It's called the illusion of control, which is the number one, definition for clinical superstition. It's people believe that they can influence outcomes that are beyond their control. And this can lead to these behaviors, especially in uncertain situations like fishing. So we're out there. You can see them on a screen. You could have the FFS. You could do whatever you want. I don't care how you fish. They're in the water. You're throwing this lure, but you really have no control on who or what's biting. So,
Dave, I think you're wrong, dude. Me knocking on wood obviously deterred Mother Nature from changing the weather. Okay, but you're entirely wrong.
I believe it.
Mother Nature heard my knocks on wood, and she says, "You know what? You're right. I won't give you bad wood."
Yeah. Yeah, I see your point. Like, for example, normal thing, throw out a brush pile, you get bit, awesome. Now I can scan the brush pile, know there's a fish there, and I can throw at it. And if it doesn't bite, I'm just like, what the heck? So it does take that kind of a way of it. I mean, it's not really superstition, but I understand what you mean in regards.
It's just the illusion of control. Is what it is. You're trying to control the uncontrollable, so people have to find a way in their mind to create a routine that would basically control the controllables and also control the uncontrollables.
There's one thing that I forgot to add, but it's interesting, just going by what John said. For example, I mentioned this on my last YouTube video that I did, is a lot of times, especially when you start off the morning, you start off with like, all right, for whatever reason you believe you need to slow things down and make sure you get those bites. So especially after you've been a while without getting a bite, you start slowing it down, your retrieval, being patient, and then you hook into this bass, whether it's big or small, but your adrenaline starts pumping after, maybe a couple of hours of just kind of like questioning what's going on. Why am I not catching fish? Your next cast, you're going to start retrieving it faster because you're running now on adrenaline. And that's where you go from, instead of catching maybe like 5 bass in an hour, you catch 1 bass every 5 hours, just because you start now adrenaline starts taking over. And I think that goes back also to the first cast, first catch thing. Like you are now running on adrenaline would, in fact, the way that you caught it, it was because you slowed down your retrieval and you were patient. And you don't notice you're doing it, but I do it all the time, especially when I'm throwing a chatterbait, where I'm like, all right, I'm going to let it drop, slow roll it, hook up into a big bass. I haven't caught anything in the last hour. And then my next cast, I'm like burning it without even notice that I'm doing it. And I think that's one thing that it's more about the psychological aspect of it than superstition. But I think that goes back to why sometimes people think, oh, well, the curse of the first catch.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're on them and they're schooling, you're excited. You catch one, you can catch some more. You keep throwing it back, and you're just like, I've done it many a times. John, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Bailey, you're married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So back, I used to be a marathon runner. So back in 2012, I had ran a bunch of marathons, and I had some decent times, but I hadn't gotten what I wanted. So I had this race in Alabama, went out to dinner, and kind of broke tradition the night before a race when you're trying to save energy, and decided to, with my lady, the next day, had the best race of my life. So before any big tournament now, whether it be with a lady or whether it be
with a dude.
What are you trying to think?
I'm just kidding.
We love you, buddy. Regardless,
it's some type of and you could really go into a psychological thing with the release of different chemicals and hormones. But man, it works well for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I mentioned
No, I mean,
National Trail John Bailey, National Trail John says, "Hey, you want to get an Airbnb together? Save money."
yeah,
I say no, Bailey.
yeah.
Just
Totally
say-
got bunk beds. Got bunk beds.
So no. I mean, there is something to be said about releases of endorphins and less dopamine beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's true. You probably got a good night's sleep too, so your cortisol was super low before you went on your race. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's give or take. There's science behind what you're saying. Yes.
And so you just tell the people beforehand, it's science. Science is proven. Let's go.
But that was the whole thing. Is like, so when it comes to superstition, at least for me, like, I was told when I got into fishing, no bananas. I've had bananas on my kayak. I've done just fine. I mean, I'm no Bailey Egbert, you know, like, but I can catch some fish when I'm on some water that I know. My thing is what would be part of the controlling the uncontrollable is I get very I guess overwhelmed would be a good word when I get on a body of water that I've never been on, and it's some vast body of water, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I'm just gonna go this way, you know, like I start saying, okay, every time I fish a new body of water, I'm always just going to go to the right, and I'm going to start working the bank all the way down to the right and slowly make my way to the middle, you know, like it's a routine, but it's become like somewhat of a superstition. Every time I go to the bodies of water that I've never been on, I subconsciously, I already get out of I leave the dock, or I get off the ground wherever I put my kayak in, and I turn right, you know, every single time now. Even if all the fish are on the left and I see those guys catching fish, I automatically just go to the right because I'm like, it's the only thing I know how to do. But I was told there's lucky hats, there's no bananas, there's this, that, and the other. You know, so many people have lucky hats. I mean, so many people have lucky hats. First cast, all this stuff. I see what you're saying with the first cast, though, Armando. Like, your adrenaline gets psyched because you catch a fish, you're already ramped up, you know? But I find that there's so many holes in the superstitious behaviors, but there's so many good qualities to it. Like how Bailey was talking about, I just rocked the same outfit. I did that in sports, you know, beforehand. Like, Bailey, have you ever not worn the correct outfit first day out, or have you it's just been a staple in your life?
I mean, past couple of years, I've kind of veered away from it, but like, I have like a set of like a couple shirts, couple different pairs of pants that like are the tournament stuff. You know, that's like the feel good. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It goes back, I guess, to that mindset thing where it's, if I'm not wearing like my Omnia hat, I'm not catching. That's just kind of like, it's kind of like back in the hockey days where I had a certain pair of like my base layer uppers and bottoms for under my pads that like I rocked for way too long, had holes in it, was just destroyed. But like if I wasn't wearing those, I would play like shit.
Yes.
So it was, I think it's kind of the same thing where it's just like, hey, those are the derb pants, that's the derb sun hoodie.
Yeah,
we'll rock with it.
I'm just curious if you ever got like a crazy clothing sponsor, if you could be like, are you going to be like, hey, I need to wear these though? Is that okay? Like, you got to put that in a contract somewhere for yourself, you know?
I know, except on derby days, wear everything except on derby days.
Yeah. Armando, what's your overall thought on superstition, period? Tournament superstition.
Like, I zero believe in superstition. Like, I don't, and it's not that I'm like angry at, you know, some people when they have an opinion on it's absolutely BS, and I'm not angry about it. Like, do whatever you feel like it's gonna give you the best chance to win. I just never fall into that trend. I never even thought about wearing the same shirt, wearing the same hat, or wearing the same underwear, or, you know, eating this particular brand of protein bar or drink or anything like that. It just never even crossed my mind. I do want to again piggyback on what Bailey said, that I found this actually in about the last month, is feeling good about yourself when you're on the water. Like, I used to go out, whether it was fun fishing or tournaments, pick up like the cheapest pair of jogging pants I could find and a cheap little sun shirt that I found at some, I don't know, some bargain bin clothing store, whatever, and, you know, mismatch. I look like a homeless clown, honestly. And then I don't know why in the last I guess when you get older, and Dave, you all guys are younger than me, but once you get into your 50s, you're gonna understand that your favorite designer is not gonna be Costco.
Yes. Hey, I'm there now.
So
Okay?
to me now, I've gotten like some, because first of all, they're cheap and they're good, like the Columbia button-down shirts and the Banana Republic active wear. And I bought it because I was like, oh, they look, they're cheap. They're like $16 with a rebate on, where usually these pants are going to cost $50-$60 somewhere else at the designer store. Same with the Columbia shirts. So I was like, I started buying those instead of just using the rack stuff that I have that you'll see my older YouTube videos. And I started feeling good about myself. Not that I'm vain in how I look, but just, it's natural for if you dress good, you feel good. And again, it wasn't that I'm spending more money. I did it as a way to actually save money by buying at Costco, clothing, instead of just a sun shirt from whatever brand it is that costs a lot more. So going back again to what Bailey said, if I started feeling good about the way I look, then I start feeling more comfortable. Now, does that translate into catching fish? Could be. Is it based on superstition? No, it's just based on being in a good place at the right time mentally. That's all it is. Yeah, confidence.
Armando, can I ask you a question?
Oh,
and
my
this
God.
is
I'm
not
scared.
it's not a judgy question at all. Because you are a little bit older than us. Did you play organized sports growing up?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My athletic ability is that of a sea cucumber.
BS.
Oh, I feel
BS.
the way.
John, he's full of it. I have an episode. He literally admitted he's been doing boogie boarding.
I did surf in Puerto Rico, but that's not
Yeah,
organized sport. He's asking
surfing.
about organized sport.
Okay.
And that's my main. I guess that's kind of my question. Is I feel that if you grew up playing organized sports and are doing things like basketball, baseball, football, or hockey, that starts to build those type of superstitions of like, oh, I got to wear these socks when I play this game. When I shoot a free throw, I have to dribble it 3 times, have to do this spin to get it to go. Whereas I think like organized sports growing up set the precipice for when you're older to build on those superstitions, because everyone that was on the team had a certain superstition that they had to do, especially like baseball's the worst. If you ever watch someone when they're batting, just the type of hand movements and things like that in regards to superstition.
Norma Garcia Parra from the shortstop from the Red Sox, I remember his routine is like, this is crazy. Like, how do you remember to do all that before going up to bat? But that's a good point, John. That is, that's a great point.
Which brings into if you guys ever get, not that anybody's ever interested in this topic, I'm weird and interested in stuff like this. There's a book that written by Dr. Stuart Vyse. It's called Believing in Magic, and it basically talks about like superstition being handed down through generations. It started with all different religions and stuff way back in the day, but superstitions have been handed down from generation to generation, where we're not naturally a superstitious people. We weren't born that way. It's basically environment around us. And that's what I've noticed in fishing environment, is that there's so much superstition around, positive or negative of whatever it happens to be, whether it be a lucky hat or it be a certain way you cast. I actually had an interesting one. I had a guy who hopefully will be a future guest on the show, Cam Steele. He said, if a dragonfly lands on his rod, he's good. But if it lands on his line, he's going home. And I was like, oh, does nature have an effect on you? If the weather's bad or the animals are sitting down and they're not walking around, does that mean you feel like you're going to have a bad day? Or is that just barometric pressure affecting all animals? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just brought into that whole idea of what about your surroundings? Maybe not you, maybe not your routine, but a situation that you float up into. Is there a situation where you're like, this ain't no good for me?
If you almost hit a deer on the way to the ramp, you're going to smash that morning.
I love it.
But it's funny you say how it's passed down, because this one, I mean, it's totally my dad's fault, but like this isn't even for fishing, it's for hunting. We always had to listen to Seek and Destroy by Metallica on the way to the woods. Otherwise, you weren't gonna shoot anything. I don't know. It was my dad's. I'm not even the biggest fan of that song, but like my dad always listened to it. He's like, "Going to the woods, like it increases your chances." Yeah, I always see a big one every time I listen to this song. And hey,
You were raised right, Bailey. You were
I've
raised
killed
right.
some big ones. Listen to that song.
I don't like Metallica. Just being from high school sports, that was like every warm up song, and I can't listen to them anymore.
You don't like Metallica? Are you
I,
not?
John, I'll say this. We got to go off topic. If you don't like the Metallica when they come up, that got really pop towards the latter half of their career, I agree with you.
Anything before
Master
Ride,
of Puppets and all that. Come on, man.
anything before Ride the Lightning, you're good.
Come on, man.
Just move to Canada then, John.
That's true. That is true.
Most un-American. So no, John, does the elements, the environment, nature, does that ever like kind of tip your scales?
I mean, for example, I don't know if there's a pattern to it, but when it snows, fishing is unheard of. Whenever I'm fishing in snow, it's great. So I always try to purposely, like if I know it's in a safe condition to where I fish where it's an unsafe condition where it's snow. As far as like aesthetically, I mean, like my favorite thing about fishing is, the idle out and watching the sunset come up. And I try to take a photo of it every time, but that kind of sets my mood and calms me down before I do the race to the spot. But I mean, I don't think it really has anything to do with superstition for me. It just makes me in a mentally good space until I don't catch anything until 10 o'clock, and then everything hits the fan.
then you're aqua dumping and like
then it doesn't matter if I can smell the pine trees, because I hate those pine trees because I haven't caught a fish.
Got it.
Will you, if you're not catching him, will you try to force a second aqua dump just to really just everything?
No, I'm typically a one and done. Yeah, no.
You don't leave anything else in the tank just in case you need a little, little boost later in the day. If it's not catching anything, we gotta appease the fish gods and go around too.
Got a bottle of milk of magnesia floating around his live well, like just in case.
No, but I'll get on certain things to where like I guess it's like anything where like I'll pay attention if I'm wearing a backwards hat or if I'm wearing a forwards hat when I catch a fish. And it's just like stupid things like that. Or like when I take my hat off to run the boat, sometimes I'll forget it and I'll be like, oh, I caught that fish without my hat on. I can leave. It is stupid and irrational. I don't care if the sun's beating my face. I'm going to leave that hat on.
I used to do that like 7-8 years ago. I had this same freaking thing where it's like, damn, I caught a big one with my hat on backwards. Like I can only fish with my hat on backwards.
Yeah.
So that's literally called confirmation bias. Like you guys are defining it. It's the individuals remember events that confirm that their beliefs and ignore the ones that don't. It's this psychological factor contributes to why people hold on to the superstition. So you could have had 2 different shoes on or 2 different socks on, and you notice the hat going backwards. That's the one that works. It has nothing to do with the socks or the water or anything else. Like it's super cool how like
that everything to do with the socks.
Yeah, everything to do with socks. But yeah, no, like I love that. So like, when it comes to confirmation bias, like ignoring the stuff that is routine that you don't notice, right? You're ignoring the things that you don't feel is lucky. Have you ever decided in any given time to purposefully do something that you feel would be bad luck just to prove that you are it's just a silly superstition and you can still do it without it?
Oh man.
You know what? Go ahead, Bailey.
I was like, I got a video of me reeling in a 5-pounder eating a banana.
Yes. Send me that after this. I will put it in the comments when I post this video so people can go take a look. I was actually just on Bailey's channel earlier today, by the way. I'm liking it. Anyways,
thank you,
Armando. John.
I would say I've heard a lot about, hey, don't have, to me, when I think of buying a kayak, there are certain colors that I don't want because of the safety aspect. Like, I don't want a kayak that's blends in with nature, like very earthy colors, just because I want to stand out. I don't want a boat to run me over. But I've heard people stay away from like bright colored kayaks because they think it scares the fish. I don't know the science behind it. To me, it's like if somebody on a skeeter glitter boat with 20 doesn't matter the color is, but 24-foot bass boat or whatever the typical size of those bass boats are. Fish are not scared of that. I don't think they're going to be scared of a kayak. Doesn't matter, the color of it. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I've also heard people that don't like to use bright color shirts, like they would only wear blue shirts on a sunny day or wear gray shirts on cloudy days because they want to blend in. And that is, I can see a little bit of truth in that, in the sense that, for example, if one of my favorite spots in Puerto Rico is down south, and they have this pier where you can feed the tarpon. And those tarpon are like 20 feet below you on the pier, and they can see you clear as day. They can tell if you're holding a bait fish in your hand, which they'll sell anywhere for $5. They'll send you like a dozen of them for $5. They can see it. And if you throw it, they know exactly where it's landing. They'll swim and meet that bait fish right where you are gonna throw it. And if you do like you do with dogs, where you pretend you throw the ball and they go look for it, they won't even they'll know. So their eyesight, the way they see you, is a lot more clear than what people think. Think about when you're going bank fishing. If you ever gone bank fishing on a creek, those fish see you. They see your shadow way before you see them. By the time you see them, you can see the wake of them just hauling ass trying to get away from you, even though you're 20 feet away. So I can see some truth in the kind of shirts or the hat that you wear in the color, but I don't know the science. I mean, I don't. Maybe science, but the science behind it,
yeah, the kayak. I mean, I feel like all the kayaks just look dark because they're looking up at the sun, So but I mean, I don't know. Like,
I got the camo one, so I can't. Whole buzzards have a hard time finding me.
There you go. I like it.
Until you stand up and they see that fat ass.
Oh, shit.
Damn, John coming with the straights here.
Oh.
I thought I just
that's
thought
why
about,
his channel is so popular on Instagram.
I know.
Show a little ass and your followers.
I thought of something as it relates to superstition, because before I came on, I got a tournament this weekend, so I was going to my boat and prepping everything, and I looked down at this certain rod, and I still had this jerk bait on. It was the same jerk bait that last year I probably caught 75% of my fish on in tournaments, and I still had it tied on this year, and I probably caught 3 or 4 fish on it, but I still keep it on because I still think that the fish are going to bite this jerk bait, and I'm just going to keep throwing it. So a lot of times I think we get very superstitious to where we have to have these certain baits on, or our lucky baits. Even if that's not what they're biting, we're going to start throwing them in hopes that they're going to bite them, to prove our theory once again that we need it on for the next time we go and the next time we go.
Dude, perfect. What do you guys do for tackle setup? Do you have a routine? Do you have a specific thing that you have to do before you get out on a tournament? Like, I have to have everything. We might be interrupted by a toddler here shortly. Just to let you know, sorry, FYI, she's feral and running about somewhere. But do you guys, like, I have to tie my stuff up the night before because I set all my rods inside my truck, and I don't want to be doing that at 3 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning when I got to get up and do so. So I make sure to have all my stuff line clean, everything, all knots tied, everything ready to go the night before. And if I don't do that and I'm tying something at the ramp, like, I'm already behind the 8 ball personally and mentally. So does that have anything to do with you guys, whether it be tackle selection or how you prepare for a tournament?
I personally retie all my leaders and all my knots. Like, after practice, I'll cut all the lures. I mean, I'll cut off all the lures, all the leaders, just to force myself, because sometimes you're so tired, you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. But now I just want to force myself to make sure when I get to my Airbnb, or if it's close enough, I'm at home, I'll do it at home. But that's not superstitious. That's more of like, hey, your leader knot has gone through some wear and tear on practice, or if you haven't tied a new leader knot in a while, or you're not, same thing. If you caught some big bass doing practice, those lines get serrated. So to me, it's more about not superstitious, but just making sure I dot all my I's and cross all my T's, and make sure like I have the knots are good and the lines look good and we're ready to go.
Bailey?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best rituals in fishing is the pre-dur rigging, and whether you're by yourself and you're listening to music or quiet, or you're with your buddies and you're rigging tackle together. I think that's one of the best parts about tournament fishing is that night before, getting all that stuff ready. And I do the same thing where it's, if I need to swap out braid or line, whatever it is, knots, all that jazz. And then hooks, I replace unless my hooks that I use in practice make my fingers bleed, then I'm swapping all my hooks. I'm going to fresh ones, taking the file to it as well, sharpen them up. I do all that stuff, and that way it's just show up to the ramp in the morning and get as much sleep as I can, and let it rip.
John, after you get done doing your thing, do you actually have a routine of some sort?
Well, I got rusty hooks, so I agree with Bailey. That's one of my favorite things is when I get off the water, especially like if I camp for a fishing tournament, is sitting in the boat by myself, cracking a beer, and I very rarely listen to music, but turning music on my Spotify and listen to music while I'm redoing everything, going through my head what I'm going to throw. I mean, half the stuff that's already on, I'm going to fish tomorrow, but I'm just retying it. And that's things. I'll do some leaders, but like I had to eventually cut off a leader today because it was 4 inches, and I was like, oh shit, I better do something. But
that's not enough. Are you telling me that's not enough?
No, I mean it's more ritualistic in a sense of just making sure everything's in its place and kind of thinking ahead of like, because in a boat you have to have certain lights in and all that stuff. Just trying to control the controllables that you have. So then, I thought that was my hand because the things. Control the controllables so that when you get to the ramp in the morning, you're not flustered and things like that. So,
dude, so you kind of, I was talking, I reached out to a few people. I love that all you guys pretty much have the same, like, I have a ritual. It's this. I reached out to a couple of people, and one person I reached out to was John Cruz, and because he made the mistake of giving me his phone number. And
he responded to you today. You should be practicing.
No, this was a couple days ago. Oh. And he said, I don't believe in superstitions. I believe in routine. And I was like, oh, I mean, fully, like I fully back that. But when it comes to the routine and the rituals, like you guys are talking about, are they mechanical or are they preventative? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you do this because it makes you feel better, or do you do this because it's been proven to work physically? I mean, I understand retying leaders because I break leader knots like nobody's business. But if you check your line and it's not frayed, are you really swapping your line? Yes, because it makes you feel better, right?
I do it just, I don't do it because it makes me feel better. I do it because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Got it.
That's basically it for me.
Bailey likes to bleed. If he's not bleeding, he's changing over everything. Yeah.
It's a one-liner that always rings in my head since the moment I heard him say it, but it was an old clip. I can't remember the fishery specifically. It was Aaron Martin's, and he was sitting there and he goes, "Oh, I think my line might have rubbed against something on his boat, like when he was fighting a fish." So he replaced his entire leader line off of something like that. He's like, goes through his whole thing, how he freshens everything up, just out of the one small fraction that you might have had some wear and tear that could break off if you get that crucial bite. And that is the one thing that played over and over and over in my head, even on tournament day when I don't want to go retie a whole leader, but my leader line, rubbed up against, the H rail or something on the Hobie, and it's feels a little bit or maybe look a little off color or whatever it is. I replaced the whole thing because then I just have like that clip playing in the back of my head, like just do it, like just replace it. Where it's like even if I dump a fish on a hook and it's brand new, that hook's gone.
Yeah,
like it's just recycling all through it. I don't know. I think that at least reduces or somewhat lessens your room for error, and that's not really superstition. That's just, I think, process efficiency.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like John said, that's controlling the controllables. I can control this, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to eliminate a chance of failure by removing the piece of failing equipment. Also, side note, I have been on a deep dive for Aaron Martin's stuff. So if you have any, like, I think that man's mind was beyond his years. It was the way he thinks and the way he approaches stuff is so unique, and like it's so incredible. Like I trying to soak up as much of that as possible because it's just so interesting to me how he basically steps up to the plate on every situation. It's super cool. So we're gonna start kind of turning this. Do you guys have friends that are superstitious? That like well, no, we don't have friends. I don't have friends. You guys are my friends right now. And then when we get off the show, I'll be alone again. But no. Do you guys have friends that are superstitious that like it not necessarily encourages you, but like it's kind of like one of those things where it kind of rubs off on you after a while? They're like, if he doesn't have his peanuts on his boat, then we're gonna have a bad day. So you kind of buy him a bag of peanuts or something to keep him happy. Or
I found, my buddy gave me shit about it. So I have this tradition, like I generally eat the same things, but I started I'm a big fan of animal crackers, but not the animal crackers you think of, like the animal crackers that are frosted with the sprinkles.
The pink and whites. Yep.
Yeah. So I brought those on a tournament at Kentucky Lake, and my boat was getting fixed. So I had to be a non-boater, and I'm with my buddy, and he sees me pull them out and obviously starts giving me shit about them because they're little pink and white cookies. And we start catching them. And on the third day, I was like, man, I'm out of these cookies. And he's like, dude, we got to go to the store. We got to get more of those cookies. And it just became this mental thing. And he didn't eat any of them. I ate the whole bag. And he was just like, we have to have these cookies in order to go. So
you were the influence on this one.
I was the influence. Like one of my partners I fish with, he's kind of got rules that are almost superstitious. Like you got to do it this way. You got to do this way because it's kind of born in tradition of how he runs his boat, which I would be the same way if he was in my boat. There's these rules you kind of have to go in because that's how I keep everything organized in here.
Armando, is there anybody that's ever influenced you into like either catering to them or, changing something the way you do it?
Nah, going back to my recap on YouTube of OHIV, if you saw that video, one of the things I do now is I go where Michael Cates is. If it's at the same bone ramp, see what he got tied on. It's always a good. I don't know if that's. Nah, but I say that kidding. But that was funny because I was watching. He ended up second place, but watching him see what I started talking to him and I looked over and I was like, wonder what he has tied on. And sure enough, he's stuff that most people don't throw because either they don't make that bait anymore or it's hard to find or it's not the trendy bait that just released in iCast, and it's like, man, it's not a superstitious at all, but it got me thinking. It's like, yeah, man, I need to start throwing some old school baits that nobody throws. And actually that tournament, I did throw something completely different. Thinking back on what I saw, it wasn't nothing that he had tied on. I just adopted the concept of like, I'm struggling. Let me throw something different. And that has nothing to do with what he was had tied on at the boat ramp at 4 a.m. But it was just that little mental, like I'm frustrating. I fished 7 hours. I got 1 hour to go and I don't have any bass. And I start just kind of taking a pause and trying to think, and thinking outside the box, not thinking what I should throw next because obviously nothing is working. So I started thinking about that morning and started thinking about what he had tied on. Turns out I don't have anything that he had tied on, but I adopted the concept, was like, let me throw that bait that I'm not thinking of. Like the one that makes no sense, the one that is not even on my top 50 list of what I should throw.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into my tackle box, and sure enough, I found a I don't want to promote something that I'm not involved with, and to be honest with you, I'm not here to plug in any companies. But anyways, I did get something on the Dark Horse tackle box that I thought I would never use, but it happened to be in my tackle box in my kayak, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna throw this because nothing else is working. Me, rip a page out of Michael Cates' fishing book, and sure enough, again, it was nothing that he was throwing. It was just a concept of like, I'm gonna throw something that is completely ridiculous at this point. And in a span of like 45 minutes, I end up catching a limit and end up, I think, something in the top 10. So, and it's Texas, it's Guillermo Gonzalez, Matthew Scotch. It was OH so it was full of talents. And for me, it was like, yeah, for something like Bailey, for example, who's a great angler, probably a mediocre day. But for me, being more of somebody that's trying to improve, not at any means a finished product as far as tournament angler, it was a big win.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not counts as superstitious, but I guess that's something I've kind of robbed me from being on the boat ramp with other people.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was talking about, is behavioral influences. Like, what about you, Bailey? Is there anything that somebody's like either influenced you or something that you've had to cater to somebody else, basically doing behavioral influences? Like,
besides my buddies trying to script all my drags on tournament morning.
Yes.
No, I know I forgot I have this one weird thing that I do in my truck. Like for volume, it always has to be an even number for whatever reason. If it's not an odd number, I don't know why. It started a long time ago. Don't know where it came from. Don't know when it started, but my wife likes to screw with me whenever I have she likes to put it on an odd number and then giggles about it. But now beyond that, I don't really have anything that anyone that I cater to most of the time because I'm fishing a kayak by myself. No, my buddies have some weird superstitions, and it's typically kind of the same lanes of, they got to wear some specific thing on tournament day, or they have a certain color Red Bull in the morning, or whatever it may be. But beyond that, like nothing crazy, at least that I could think of.
Nothing that somebody's done to influence like the way you do stuff, like Aaron Martin's cutting off his leader and now you cut off all your leaders.
No.
Bailey, you still have to eat that lucky spinach sandwich before each tournament.
Oh god.
Spinach sandwich? What?
Spinach sandwich.
You'll never live this down,
Popeye
dude.
thing?
No. That's
are you talking about that stupid bastard bullshit?
Yes.
You don't call Paul stupid.
I see it on your shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a y'all look shirt on right now.
I made it to a cutoff because he was so ugly.
All right, so here's one that sounds a little odd, but I mean, you remember how we were talking, or you were talking earlier, Bailey, about you try not to like you want to knock on wood. You don't want to assume that stuff's going to happen. As John does the opposite, he has to fill a live well even if he doesn't have a fish, right? So here's one. It's Chris Edwards III. He wrote into the Facebook page and he said, "This might sound a little crazy, but when I'm fishing, no nets are allowed in the open. If there's one in the boat, I've never caught a fish or on any boat, mine or others, if a net is laying around." I was like, oh, that's like, I could see that. Like, it's like bringing your scale and getting ready to go fishing. You're like, I'm going to bring my scale down. I'm going to weigh all these fish, and then you don't catch nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Say that about cameras.
Yes, I was about to say.
The red light of death, dude.
I think I've run a camera so much now that it's the opposite actually that happens. Where if I don't have it running, nothing cool happens now, which is a good problem to have. But
Totally.
I agree with Bailey, especially when I started off bass fishing, kayak bass fishing, when the GoPro overheated or SD card got full, I forgot to charge it. That's when magic happens. It never happens when you're recording. So yeah, that's really true.
So, do you guys have anything? Because we're gonna kind of. I didn't want to make this a real long one. I didn't want to keep you guys forever because, like I said, this is more just indulging my psychotic interest in psychology.
I got a tournament tomorrow, Dave.
Yeah. I know, but like, kind of in closing it all up, would you say that superstitions are easily debunked? And if so, have you, like I was saying earlier, done the adverse for a superstition? Have you shown or found a superstition to be completely faulty?
I would say it's when superstitions become routines that allow you more comfort with yourself and the rest of your day to where they're okay. You could debunk every superstition because it has not worked every time, but when you make them a part of your ritual, it gives you some type of sense of relief to where there's less anxiety. I know I ate my lucky biscuit in the morning, so I'm going to be okay. It kind of releases a lot of that stress and anxiety so that you can focus on the task at hand.
I think it's, to John's point, I think superstitions to an extent put you at your mental baseline to be ready for the day. I think that's just kind of where it's at. Or if it's like, if you don't do something, it's almost kind of like your head is not where you want it to be, if that makes sense. Where do we need them? No. Are they crazy? Yeah. Like some of them are just stupid, but I think at the end of the day, superstitions are good, especially in the sport of fishing, because it adds some kind of fun character to it. Where without superstitions, we're all the same. And we already have a lot of anglers that are the same. So we kind of, the freakier the superstitions, I think, the more fun they are. I can only imagine what some of these guys have out there. But
think about Matt's holy underpants that he got in so much trouble for on Bassmaster.
Who Matt
Robertson?
Yeah.
He fished in his lucky underpants and got fined forever, but I mean, that made a name, maybe a negative, but made a name for himself.
Yeah. Armando?
I think, if you met my dad, you understand why I'm saying this, because he's not coming out of judgmental. It's coming out of, the way I was raised by my old man, which was, a belt would fix anything. HDHD, a belt's going to fix that. So for him, one thing that I, I latch on from him is like, he's like superstition is nothing more than a weak mindset. That's the way he viewed it. Now, again, I'm not judging anybody. Like Bailey said, sometimes, and John mentioned, sometimes superstition is just puts you in the right mindset. And if that's what it takes, that's fine. Like I said, do whatever you need to do to be in the right mindset. What I would say about it is, superstition is it's just your mind trying to feel like you have control over something that you really have no control over. Like you have a say in the outcome. That's all superstition is. And you really can't control it. So you develop some type of, idea that if you do this, you'll be able to control it. What I would say, if you're superstitious, this applies to anybody, whether it's fishing or whatever, is actually, like you mentioned, you go to a lake on the right, start off on your right side because you've never been on that lake. That's a superstition that could cost you your performance. So if anybody out there has a superstition that is going to affect you negatively, then you have to understand that is just a weak mindset that you need to fix. Because, it may not cost you in every tournament, but there is going to be a tournament out there where you should have just gone to the left. Not because of superstitions, but because you did the research that you needed to do to make that sound decision. And that's what I would say to anybody. If you have a superstitious that puts you in the right place and doesn't cost you anything as far as your performance, do it. But if it's something that's going to affect, doing that superstition is going to affect you negatively on the water, then you need to get rid of it and understand that it's just a weak mindset because it's costing you.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Like if you go to your home lake and think that you have to fish these 5 spots in a row, every single time because you've caught them before and you keep repeating that pattern and it's not working. And I've done it.
Mhm.
Same
You
here.
have to change the way. I 100% agree.
So the general consensus, at least from what I'm gathering from you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the use of superstition is creating confidence where you're lacking it.
We believe that you can control it.
Yeah, controlling the uncontrollable. You're
Belief,
making confidence. Yeah. You have to have something that makes you feel comfortable to continue, right?
Yeah.
To do. Yeah. So whether it's clothes or it's hats or it's bananas or it's turning to the left instead of turning to the right, or John's medical or John's science experiment, like whatever it happens to be.
John sacrificing himself for science.
Yes. Yes. I love it. So, but it's okay. So yeah, because at least for me, the way superstition is I've always observed it is not necessarily a weak mindset, but it's where some person has fear, they create something to where they're not afraid. So whatever that happens to be in like a psychoanalytical way, they break things down and they make connections of stuff that gives them positive affirmations or positive reactions, and they continue to do that process over and over again, creating superstition and then telling their kids about it. But I do the same thing. I mean, I tell my kid all the time which sock to put on first in the morning. It's just how it goes. But thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming on here. I didn't want to keep you a long time. John's got a tournament. Bailey's.
I don't have a tournament. I'm lying.
John's lying, but
I was thinking a tournament on Wednesday.
We have Wednesday nighters out here.
That's the old man's trail.
Yeah, but not in the morning.
Yeah, no, I got to work.
The retiree trail.
I did this Tuesday morning or Tuesday tournaments with all a bunch of old guys. Well, it was awesome. So I don't do it anymore.
You got top 5 out of 5?
Basically.
Hey, those are the only kind of tournaments I enter, buddy. Like if there's more than 10 people, I'm not entering because I need to be in the top 10,
There you go.
So, any closing thoughts on anything, guys? I genuinely appreciate you guys coming on.
No, I had fun. I'm excited for the future podcast you have with the individual we talked about beforehand to go over it.
Yes.
I'm excited about listening to that. So.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it because it's really interesting to me. I'm sure it's boring to everybody else, but John, listen.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to do and actually listen to, and I'm looking forward to that one about the psychological aspect of it. I think it's like in fishing. Bailey, John, what do you think it's like if you have to put in percentage, like the psychological aspect of it? How big of a percentage does it
90.
play?
90.
There you go.
I mean,
that's what I thought, but
90.
I wanted to get
90.
you guys' opinion on that.
Okay.
There's so many good anglers out there from a talent standpoint of like, who knows what, and the, who's good, who can flip a jig under a dock or whatever have you, casting ability. It does not matter on tournament day. It's whoever makes the best decisions. That is 100% decisions and who can fish the cleanest. That is the biggest thing when it comes to
Don't forget about that little teensy thing we like to call luck, Bailey.
There's that involved too.
Little.
But that's kind of the point of why I'm having them on here is I kind of want to erase the luck and figure that all out. So it'll be really interesting. And so thank you guys. I'm gonna let y'all go about your day. I'm gonna put y'all in the green room. I mean, it's your night. It's my day, but thank you everybody. So Armando, have a good evening. John, have a wonderful evening. Bailey, have a good evening, dude. Find some time to go to sleep, dude. All right.
Right.
But with that, dude, that is the episode where we are all going to sit and talk about superstition a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I wanted to make it a short one because I wasn't trying to drag it on forever and have these guys be like, Dave, why did you bring me on here? Like, I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's future episodes to come. I'm not going to be doing a ton of group episodes. This was just the one and done. I might do another one down the line, maybe based around fishing media. But I'll be getting in with those guys a little bit later. But for now, I leave you with this real quick.
No one face, and there's no race for a few days. As them born and trees, I got some bees. Go my dada.
JT, Eric, and unnamed friend, you're in my prayers, and I hope you guys heal up real soon.